As I rounded the corner on the first year of podcasting and scaling our team nationwide, my beautiful wife Kelly and I decided to reconnect and tell our success story on how we went from $0 in assets to a $2.8 million exit on a real estate portfolio in just a short period of time. It's just one example of how we work together as a couple with an aligned vision and how we stand in agreement amidst hard times to conquer fear and lack. We did it while raising 3 kids, and you know what? We're still raising them. And though our goals are now bigger, our drive is just as intense as our love for each other and our family and our team. As long as I live, I'll never get enough time with this wonderful woman. And I wanted to share her caring, thoughtful, intelligent, and sometimes super sarcastic wit with you. I hope you enjoy the conversation that we had as we reminisce about building, scaling, and selling our short-term rental portfolio. Welcome as a guest on my podcast.
Thank you, Jeramie.
How many times have you listened to this podcast?
How many episodes do you have?
Like 18.
3.
Really?
I'm joking.
No, I know you're being honest because that's what you do. You keep me humble.
No, I'm joking. I haven't listened to all of them, but I am working my way through them.
You're joking you've only listened to one? The one that you were on? Honestly, tell me, how many of these podcasts have you listened to? Honestly.
5 or 6.
5 or 6? All the way through?
Yes.
100%?
100%.
I believe you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, thanks for listening to quite a few. You know, it's interesting hosting a podcast. It's, obviously there's a performance aspect to it because I always care about the audience. I always care about if they're learning something. I always care about that we're keeping the conversation strong and that we're having meaningful conversations. And that's the introvert in me. And I think it's why I love doing it so much, is because I get to have meaningful conversations. And there is nobody on the planet that I would rather have a more meaningful conversation with than you. And we have a lot of meaningful conversations.
We do. Thank you. And this setup is really cool because we're forced to look into each other's eyes and really connect and without interruption.
Have I turned you on yet?
Yeah.
No, that wasn't a real confident. Yeah.
Well,
this isn't insecurity. This is just me observing you.
No, I'm very reserved right now.
How come? You haven't had enough wine yet?
No, because I'm aware of my audience. So
gotcha.
That's why.
It's not your audience, babe. It's mine. And but here, no, just to let me speak to that. I do take credit for way more than I deserve. And I will say this, I wrote the book and
okay.
because
I started the pod. Yeah. Yes, I did start Worley and Associates and then Worley Real Estate Network, which is a nationwide, soon to be worldwide company. And yes, I did create a workbook and a mastermind. And yes, I have been traveling all over the United States and it's only April. But aside from all of that, okay, I finished. I did the ...
No, I wasn't going to say all that. I seriously wasn't. Thank you, though. But what I meant to say was that I did actually write the words in the book, but all of the experience that came with it was 100% shared with you. All of my successes and failures and creative thought, it was designed with and enhanced by you. And so I feel like a lot of times you are such an anchor to this business and such a valuable mentor to people, not just here, but in the network that we're building. The people don't get a chance to know you as well as they should. And part of it's because you're an incredible mom and businesswoman. You love your clients. You love everyone around you. And there's only so much energy to give. And you give what you have. I feel like more people deserve to know you and to hear your wisdom. And I'm trying to tell you that more.
You're so kind. Thank you for saying all of that.
Yes. And also, I could not have done any of this without you. And I wouldn't have wanted to. And
thank you.
I'm always looking for a business partner or a buddy, but everything I do it with you. And you're so precious to have come along with me on this whole way. And when we're feeling good, I feel like a man. I'm like, look what I did for you, baby. I mean, come on. I mean, look at this. For so long I felt sheepish that your sister's husbands provided them good health benefits, and I could never give you a 401k, but I gave you this entrepreneurial journey that's full of excitement and unknowns.
Yes. I think in a lot of ways, there is no way I would ever have been satisfied doing anything different. I mean, who doesn't like consistency and security? But, there's a natural human need in us to need variety, and which is also another version of insecurity. So, which is why some people create drama when there's not enough in their life because they need that feeling of insecurity. I definitely like the security, but I would be totally bored if I didn't have this journey and these new adventures. And with you, there will never be a dull moment because your vision continues and it continues and it continues. And you have a new vision and a new idea. And I'm your wingman. And I feel like I've said this before because it was about to come out of my mouth. I'm your executioner. Oh.
You executed something for me today. I was like, Kelly, there is a cultural thing happening and I need you to handle it. And you did. And you handled it way better than I would have, because I was like passionately needing this cultural thing inside the company to be handled. And I told the story already to someone else today, how impressed I was with you and how much I need you, because I was like, I told Kelly this situation and she's like, you know what, Jeramie, this person is a type XYZ person who requires A, B, and C. And I was like, oh my gosh, that is so brilliant. And I was moving off of passion, and I recognized the need and the importance for the cultural change, but you knew exactly the strategy to take the words to say in order to handle it in a caring way. And it makes me realize that that's why we're an amazing business team. And I don't give you enough credit for that.
Well, in that particular situation, like my instant reaction was, yuck, right? Like you don't want to have to handle a yuck situation. My heart started to kind of pound a little bit thinking about the words that I was going to say, and I just started talking it out. And the more I talked it out, the more I realized that it's not that I'm condemning a person in any way. I'm relating to them. I'm seeing the beautiful things in them. And whenever you make a situation comfortable to you and natural to you, and you're not trying to say someone else's words or trying to get something across that's not natural, then that's what creates the insecurity. But if at the heart of it, you're like, I really love this person and they deserve to be loved and they deserve to be better, and I deserve to have an opportunity to express my coaching, then it, like, the nerves go away and you're like, okay, I can do it my way. Hey, let's do it this way in a non-confrontational way.
I'm going to hire you as my coach so that you don't talk to me the way I want to be talked to, that I can ask for my money back and tell you I don't want to, I quit.
Oh, that's a thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like you let your guard down with your spouse and
Yeah.
you don't talk to them the same way you would talk to
Nope.
somebody else in the business world.
No, and what was really interesting today, and I think this is a sign of us really working together a lot, is that a lot of times I can tell that when I get frustrated about a situation, and I know it has nothing to do with you, but I'm frustrated, but I'm saying words to you in a way that I can see you like, why is he yelling at me? Why is he talking this way? And I can, and just
taking a tone or whatever.
just the fact that I'm talking that way signals in you that I am on a heightened state and you are concerned for me. That's okay. You should be concerned for me, but you shouldn't be afraid of me, or you shouldn't be feel like I'm talking like I'm angry to you, but I'm not. I'm angry at the situation.
Yeah, well, I know that. So I still have a different opinion. I think that there are certainly times when you have to show that person the grace. Like, yes, have the grace to know that this is a comfortable place. I get that you're super stressed. And so, but also has to be balanced with, on the most part, we have to watch the tone. We have to
Yeah.
be careful about that. And I think that's really important. And then when I have an off day, knowing that it's a safe place, that I'm going to come back around and even out again.
Yeah, like the Matt Grindstaff who was on this podcast. It was one of the best podcasts we've done. It's so fun. I love that guy. He shared with us some wisdom that a lot of times when you come home and you say something about, something about your day or something that's off, when your wife is talking to you, if it doesn't go well, if that first conversation doesn't go well, now you're having an argument about tone. And how many times have we had arguments about tone? But what I loved about the progression that we've made and our commitment to each other is that today you and I went into a heightened emotional situation for me.
Yep.
And we both knew it was going to be that for
Yep.
me. And it was, and it got there.
Yeah.
And you could see that I was dealing as much as I could.
Yes.
And when I started to kind of like get frustrated, the words came out of my mouth. I'm not frustrated at you. I'm frustrated at the situation. And that was me recognizing that you're not a punching bag. I need you. That was me. Like it was a cry for help in a way, rather than you being a punching bag. And I think that I could see your countenance. You went from being, I'm concerned about you, to I'm here for you.
Yep. Got it. I got it. I understand. We're in the situation.
Yeah.
I know it completely and fully.
Yep.
I can only imagine how you feel right now. And so I realized the instructions you were giving me were because you were doing your best.
You're absolutely right. And thank you for being there for me today. I couldn't have done today
welcome.
without you. I know I've said that already tonight, but it's true. But I want to talk about a couple things. I want to talk about something that I hope will inspire people, is because you and I have always communicated and have always planned and have always, when you would come home from your job and I would come home from my job, and we knew that there was more for us in life, we would just go for a walk. And we would walk around the apartment complex, and we would always talk about what we wanted. And we did that for a long time, and we always knew we wanted to get into the nightly rental business. We wanted to invest in real estate. We wanted to make money while we slept, but we didn't have any mentors, coaches. Nobody really taught us anything.
Right.
And I remember when we moved to Branson, we knew we were going to get in the nightly rental business, but then the market totally crashed. 2008 happened, and we both went into survival mode.
Right.
Which
you do, right?
Yeah.
Like that's part of the journey too, is the grit that you have when you can't see the next paycheck or the next day, and that there's more. You have dreams, you have desires, and sometimes it just takes grit for a few years.
Back then, we were having babies. I couldn't keep my hands off you, and I still can't. And also, we had one TV. We slept in a queen mattress with hand-me-down furniture, and we had cashed in our 401k in order to pay off the 20% loan. We bought it with an 80-20 loan because back in 2007 when we closed on it, those loans still existed. I think we got the last one, by the way.
We literally got the last one.
And we paid off the 20%, cashed in our 401k so we could make our house payment and continue to stay in real estate. And we spent that 10 years of our 30s primarily paying gas, groceries, and rent. We didn't know anything yet still about real estate education.
Well, funny little side story. Every month we would sit down and do our bills, and we would look at each other and we'd say, well, we made it another month.
Survived another month is what I would always say to you.
We survived another month.
And that was when you and I started paying bills together because I needed you to know exactly what was going on all the time. We did well when we did that together because it galvanized us in our approach to our financial situation.
We actually typed out a fake bank balance account, and I posted it inside my closet, and it was like $160,000 or something like that.
Well,
like,
I wrote a check
shooting for.
to ourselves for $56,000 to pay off all of our debt at the time. And I posted it on the ceiling above me with a tack. So I had to wake up and look at it and ended up forgetting about it for a year. And then at the end of that year, when we paid off all of our debt, I pulled down, I was like, oh yeah, is that still up there? Like it became part of the background. I never even noticed it. And then at one point I was like, oh, I've got the ladder out. I'm changing the air filters here.
Above the ceiling, where?
On our bed.
Above our bed?
Yeah, when I looked up, it was right there. For a year, there was a check above my head on the ceiling. Did you not remember? It was there. And I pulled it down, and the money that I had earned, it was exactly the amount. We had literally paid off all of our debt that year.
So eventually, it was not too terribly long ago. We were making good money. I looked at you and I said, we survived another month, but we had plenty of money to pay all of our bills.
It was a habit that we had gotten into.
You said, let's not say that anymore. So we stopped.
We did.
Yep.
Yeah, we didn't survive another month.
We haven't said that since.
No, we've conquered since then. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I wanted to talk about that because we just exited a major real estate portfolio that we built from scratch. We started it with $0, literally, had private equity investors. And so I wanted to tell that story of how we went from $0 to a $2.8 million exit.
And I think that that's a really great story to tell people. And I just want everybody to know that I am no different than anybody else. We are no different than anybody else.
That's wrong. You're totally different.
Well,
everybody else doesn't want to work. They don't want to put in the effort. They want to complain about politics and the events of the day.
Okay.
You are different. You care about people, and you are determined, and you work your ass off to make sure that what you want to happen happens when you want it to happen.
And that's the only criteria that is required here.
Drive.
Yep.
And
I would say having the energy to execute it, even when you don't feel like it, when you don't want to, you have to carve it in. When you're making excuses for yourself that are legitimate, that first property that we're getting ready to talk about that we had private equity on, we went ahead and listed it live on our platforms, and we weren't ready. And I had to stay up till 2 a.m. to finish it for our guests the next day so I could go to work.
You're talking about the first property that we invested in. We advertised it on Airbnb, VRBO before it was ready because we were concerned about getting the money in time to pay the bills and stuff.
And we got that booking. We had to put in the extra time and
stay up all night to finish. Yeah,
it was a stretch. Well, you stayed home with the babies and fed everybody and put them to bed. And it was like, well, and that's what it takes. But what I mean is I don't want anyone to think that we have a magic formula. It does take a formula, yes. It does take drive and grit and the desire and ability to, put it on the line from time to time because you're like, dadgummit, I'm going to make this work. And it takes a measured risk. You have a calculated risk. And that's what we did because we didn't know a whole lot of people who had done VRBOs at the time. But so do you want to tell the story about how we got into the property?
Yeah, let's start and let's tell the story in a technical way, as if somebody just wanted to listen to this section as a class. Like they could really start taking notes now and figure out how to do this.
Sure.
So I first identified an industry that was in real estate. It was the short-term rental industry. And I identified a condo community that was short-term rental friendly, that was close to a large theme park that I knew was most likely going to be a slam dunk. I had analyzed the numbers on it, and I knew that it would work. And what I had discovered was that if we bought this condo for $52,000 and it was fully furnished, I was hoping that we could use all the furniture. And keep in mind, I was growing a brokerage at this time and had a full-time job, children.
I also had a full-time job.
And we were doing all of this as a side hustle.
Yes.
And it really took me a month. It took a month of most of my time and dedication to commit to remodeling this condo. I kind of left my business in a way, or really just kind of like, you know how when you have a month and you just don't want to give a crap about anything and you really don't show up very well and nothing gets accomplished? That's kind of how I did it. I spent that much attention on my business and spent so much of my attention on this one condo because that's the short-term rental business. It's front-loaded with an incredible amount of time, effort, and energy. But then once that's done, it coasts and earns you money when you sleep. And we knew it would.
So this particular condo, we weren't able to use a lot of the furniture in there. It was either just outdated, stinky, ugly, or whatever.
Yeah.
But you did an amazing job on that remodel. Like I didn't do anything until I came in and just did the finishing touches and decorated it.
Well, here's what I knew I wanted. I knew that I wanted a wow factor, but that a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo that was kind of an old 1970s dated condo wasn't going to give us the wow factor. So I wanted to be a unit that was set apart. So all of the other units that were advertised had kind of old brown wooden doors and wooden trim. I wanted to get all that painted. I wanted new doors. If I was going to invest money, it was going to be in new painted doors, trim that was just painted. It wasn't new trim, but we painted it. Really warm colored walls and a kitchen that just popped with new countertops and
some
a
pendant
backsplash.
lighting and
Yeah.
some new appliances.
Mm-hmm.
But we didn't have the money to buy this, right?
No. Yeah. And I want to say one more thing, like the whole copper buckle thing.
Yeah, say it.
So I bought a bag full of copper buckles on Amazon, and that's what we called it. We called it the copper buckle.
Mm-hmm.
And I hid copper buckles all around this place to see if people would find us. And we didn't say anything about it. It was just this secret thing. And it was really exciting to get comments in the guest book about the copper buckles. Like I would hang them on the chandeliers,
I
every
found
room.
8.
Yeah.
And then people would say, I only found 7.
Yeah. Can you find all the copper buckles?
Uh-huh.
And it was just fun for us. So yeah, we didn't really have the money to buy it, but I borrowed the money from my grandpa, who was my first private equity investor. He gave me basically, it was a $52,000 condo, so 20% of that. And grandpa wanted his monthly payments. He wanted to be paid like $59 a month. And I'm like, okay, no problem, pal. But I thank you for believing in me. I'm going to pay you $59.82 a month. And I did for so long. And you know, some of our other private equity investors now, they want to be paid quarterly, you know, some annually. That's fine. It's way easier to do it that way.
It is.
But grandpa wanted monthly payments. So we did. So the 20% loan was, $59. And the 80% that I borrowed from the bank, they allowed they didn't know that grandpa gave me the money, but grandpa wanted a promissory note. And so he knew I was going to pay him back. And then we borrowed the money from the bank, 80%. We used the 20% as the down payment. We did have to spend about $14,000 on remodels, but we did it all through Home Depot credit cards because they've got contractors that can come in and do pretty much anything that you want. Anything that we bought, we put it on a credit card. The furniture, through a Nebraska Furniture Mart card.
Which then we would make the payments once we started running it
Sure,
out.
if that payment was $280 a month, that was literally like 1 or 2 nights rent on the month that went towards paying the credit card off. And I knew that even if we borrowed all that money and I put that in my pro forma, even with a 100% loan, it was still $6,000 a year cash flow, which isn't a lot of money. I mean, $6,000 is not a lot of money, but you can go on a great vacation with it. You can.
That's what vacation rentals were doing for us at the time, was giving us the extra to do the vacation, the extra to get something extra and fun for the kids.
Yeah.
And that was worth it. I mean, it was the less than part-time job I've ever had.
Highest paid part-time job you could ever have.
Absolutely.
But here's what I wanted to say. What's the return on $0 multiplied by $6,000 cash flow a year? I mean, I suppose if you do the math, it's 0 times 6,000 is 0. I suppose it's a 0 return if we're being algebraic nerds.
But let's say we put $1 into it and that changes the entire equation. It's a 6,000%
infinite return. That's what we got. We got infinite returns in the beginning.
And who knew that development would increase in value so significantly, because then vacation rentals became really popular out there.
Well, we knew they would. We could see the trend. We jumped in. I could see
Yes,
that pathway.
Jeramie, but we didn't know exactly how much. It was amazing.
If we would have, I would have bought 100 more.
Me too, of course. So, for anyone out there who's a real beginner at asking for private equity, I had then an opportunity to ask a family friend for some private equity money, and
You're jumping
very
way
nervous
ahead on the story.
Well, I was thinking that at this point, someone's out there listening going, yeah, but how do you do that? What if it's not grandpa?
I want to tell that story.
I do too, but not yet.
Would you mind if we fit in a little bit about rolling the equity from the first property into the next couple of properties and then introduce that? Because I think it would be more impactful.
Jeramie, I think that you like to take your time at things.
Aren't you glad I
You're
do?
you are calculated, very well planned out, and
Well,
I
on
think
that, I'll have
I
another
think
shot of
everyone will
wine.
enjoy this story. So
Okay.
let's.
Well, now that you've turned it up a little bit. So we succeeded at that condo, and we actually had one day off like the next year. And here's what I love about
Oh
us.
yeah,
We were so busy working our butts off, and we had
Yeah.
one day off together. And what we did is we
Mhm.
went and looked at a property.
Yep.
We walked through it and we said, yep, we're buying it.
Yep.
We don't even have time together. And we walked through a property and we said, yep, we're buying it. And it was a 3-bedroom, 3-bath condo in an area that we knew the market and we knew was on the rise and was like,
Mhm.
why are these only worth $97,000? Like, this is
Mhm.
going to blow up. There's no we knew the inventory in the market, knew there was a shortage of 3-bedroom, 3-bath
Yes.
condos. And
Very
we had been
rare.
kind of surviving on 2-bedroom, 2-bath condos.
Yeah.
And that's kind of where we learned that heads and beds is the name of the game.
Yep.
I mean, I just did a really fun Loom video with Candace, our Minnesota network partner. And we kind of did a really cool duplex thing where there was a 2-bedroom and a 1-bedroom side. And we realized how the 2-bedroom was awesome. And the 1-bedroom was almost a negative cash flow scenario because the extra bedroom was so valuable to the bottom line.
Yeah.
Which is why 10-bedroom properties in Branson went crazy over the past 2 years. But we realized it back then, that the 3 bedrooms were phenomenal.
Yeah.
And we bought one. And then we bought another one in a really short time period. And we rolled the equity from that 2-bedroom. We held on to that. And we additionally bought those 2. And then we additionally bought a 4-bedroom cabin. So we had all these properties. And we're totally juggling all these properties. And of course, this money came from anywhere we could get it. We would scrape, scrounge, save. If we got a $20,000 commission check, windfall, whatever, we would throw it into real estate. We got to the point where we're paying our bills off and we're putting everything else into real estate. We were real estate rich, cash poor.
Absolutely. And that 4-bedroom, I didn't even really like. I never liked it.
I hated it.
I didn't like, but it made such good money. It made sense, and it was like, gosh,
It was the dumbest
it was
property. It was an ugly duckling.
was
We kicked it and
ugly.
it crapped golden eggs.
It's true. It had the ugliest furniture. I hated the
I
bedspreads.
felt like a slumlord owning it.
I know, but it slept so many people.
It did.
Slept 14 people in
Yeah.
a 4-bedroom because the bedrooms were huge.
You sound like a hillbilly when you say it that way.
It slept 14,
It slept 14 people.
in 4 bedrooms.
Howley cow.
Hooey. No one says Hallie cow.
Well, I just did.
Holy smokes, y'all.
We just made money on this 4-bedroom. Now, and then all of those properties, we got so crazy. And we're like, this is insane. We control a 4-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, a 2-bedroom, a 2-bedroom. How many bedrooms is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 14.
You just, instead of starting with 4.
Don't make fun of me,
you
Kelly.
You just counted 1, 2, 3,
Nobody
4.
likes a nerd, Kelly.
Most people would have said, okay, that's a 4. I'm going to add 3.
We don't like your new math here in the Ozarks.
Anyway, that's 14 bedrooms.
14 bedrooms. So we're like, why don't we roll this equity into a new project that we knew was being developed? And we're like, let's get a 9-bedroom. But here's the problem. It was a $650,000 property, and we could roll some equity for some of those properties. We didn't want to liquidate all of them. So what we did is we were willing to take a risk to liquidate that first condo, the Copper Buckle.
Yep.
And that was going to give us $40,000 in cash.
Yes.
To put towards a brand new 9-bedroom.
9-bedroom, and I needed
another $60,000.
$60,000 total.
And the question then became, how do we make this happen? And this is the story that you wanted to tell. And this is an interesting story, and I would love to do a video sometime on my version and your version of this story, because your version is so much better than mine. Mine's more technical and acute, and yours is way more personal.
Well, you had been living in the real estate world we needed that much money. We needed $120,000 down.
Yeah.
And we had 40, so that leaves $80,000.
$80K.
Okay. And so you had been living in the real estate professional world for a long time. I had been living in a professional world, but it wasn't in real estate.
You worked retail for a while.
Yeah, Jeramie.
It's okay to say.
I lived in retail for a long
It's
time.
okay to say.
It is okay.
Why not?
No,
People,
I
you work
am
whatever job you got to work to get by.
absolutely. I'm so grateful for it. So all that to say that the asking for private equity or even understanding the concept of it was very foreign to me.
Well, when we were raised that if you ask for money,
Mhm.
something's gone wrong in your
Yeah.
life.
Well, it's true because even when I would go on, I remember going on a couple of mission trips. One was in high school and one was in college. And I was supposed to send letters out for donations, and it explained what we were doing. And I was taught that it's not good to ask other people for money for this.
Yeah, something's gone horribly wrong.
So it's
So
true.
it went against our programming
Mm-hmm.
to ask for money.
Mm-hmm.
But what had happened is that my parents had a family friend who was really getting crappy returns with his money.
Mm-hmm.
And we knew our market so well. And we had the opportunity to offer this gentleman an incredible return on his money. He was getting negative money. He was losing money. And so I convinced you. Well, I gave you a sales script basically to tell this guy that was like, hey, listen.
So this is where I take over.
Yeah. Well, hang on. I wanted to say one more thing.
Well, hang on. Go ahead.
What are you going to talk about?
This, but it was from my perspective.
But I want to give you your perspective, but I just wanted to say this.
I want to give you your perspective.
I'm so sorry. I wanted to give you the opportunity to talk about your perspective, but before that, I just wanted to get this out. That
burst.
The sales script was, look, man, you're losing money on your money. We could get you 6% on your money. When interest rates were like 2%, and I was like, we can get you 6% on your money.
That is not at all how it went, though.
Oh, all right, tell me.
Because you coached me in that way. But here is the scenario. It was someone who's very green to this.
You're green. I'm green? Who is green?
I am green.
Okay, you were
okay, I'm
green.
talking about my perspective
Okay, gotcha.
of where I came from.
Right.
And asking somebody for a significant amount of money that I was not confident in. I am now. I am great at coaching people to ask families for money because I know the benefit that's there. But at the time, this was my first conversation ever. And I really had to work myself up. So I went to Jeramie and I said, okay, I'm going to call him and ask him to be a private equity investor. I need to write down exactly what I'm going to say. And then you coached me on it, and you said it in, those terms like, look, man, it's this return. It's going to be, this, and this. But I wrote it down like this, and this was the formula. This is the project that I'm interested in. Here's why it's going to be successful. Here's the projected rate of return and the money that we're going to put down on it. What we're looking for is X amount of money at a certain percent of interest that we're going to pay to you over a 5-year period or 3-year period with a balloon at the end, and we want to make quarterly payments to you. How do you feel about that?
How'd it go?
Well, I paused and I was just drenched in sweat because I was so you just have to be quiet at that moment and let them ask questions. But if you know the terms, you understand it, you believe in the project, there's nothing else left other than to let them answer, ask questions. And he said, yeah, I could give you $60,000. And I wanted to scream, and I go, okay, would you like monthly payments or quarterly payments? And we'll send you over, and I think we said your name will be on the second deed of trust.
Yeah, we had given him it was my parents' friend. I would work 10 jobs to make sure that man got paid back, to make sure my dad didn't come out bad.
100%.
My mom, I was going to do anything because they raised me, and I wasn't going to let anybody down, just like we weren't going to let Grandpa down, our first private equity investor. And so if we've got that kind of dedication, then it's okay to take a few risks. And that property doubled in value over the next 2.5
Yes, it
years.
did. And that's the important thing is if you're going to ask somebody for this money, you're going to do whatever it takes to pay that person back because you want them to invest in you again and again and again, which this person has.
Yeah. So then we're like, okay, this is going good.
Okay,
So
yeah.
we're going to liquidate the remaining 4
So-
properties, do a reverse 1031 into a new property. And guess what happened in the middle of that?
COVID.
Dun, dun, dun. We had a half-built property
Mhm.
in COVID while we were quarantined, wondering if we should spend $90,000 to furnish the place, if we should sell it as is
Mhm.
to some high risk tolerance investor, or what is going on? Are we bankrupt?
Right. Oh.
I wish I could have enjoyed quarantine, but I couldn't because
No.
my heart was beating so fast
Yep.
because my balls were on the chopping block,
Mhm.
and your balls too.
Mhm. And our kids' balls.
Everybody's balls were on the chopping block. I'm going to need another little bit here for this story. Poor kids. They didn't
Yeah.
even know their balls were on the chopping
So,
block.
the scary thing during that time was the first 9-bedroom that we had built, all of the bookings canceled in it. And so we have this other property where building has stalled and we don't know when it's going to pick up again. And so we were very nervous. All we could do is eat red meat during this time. Red meat and potatoes. And so and so Jeramie's learning to smoke meat. And so we're like, yes, feed me more
We're staying.
food,
Do you remember?
more food.
I remember one time we looked at each other. It was like 3 a.m. and it was our normal bedtime. We like looked at each other and we're like, this is crazy. Like, what are we doing?
So, we actually were going to sell the property because we
had it sold. I had it under
Yeah,
contract
it
with the
was.
dude for $50,000 more than I
was,
paid for
and
it.
I didn't want to, but I also trusted your lead of the family. And I just said, God, if you want this property to be sold, then please let it sell. But if you want us to hold on to it, then I trust you. No matter what the answer is, I trust you. That contract fell through
Yeah.
and you said, what do you want to do? And I said, I want to keep it.
Yeah.
And you said, okay, let's do it then. And at that point, we had started to get bookings. It's like the first round of bookings canceled, but
Yeah.
then everyone was like, screw that. I still want to get out and go and do stuff. So that gave us a little bit more confidence. Building started up again. And so we stepped out on faith truly to finish this property. Now, I will say a side note here. It wasn't completed within 180 days
No.
of our first relinquished property. But do you know what happened?
The value arrived.
Value of what we relinquished
Arrived.
was in the property.
Yeah, it was.
And so we closed on it, put the money that hadn't been paid out yet in an escrow account, and then completed it once it was done. We set it up just before the 4th of July.
Meaning you guys need a great 1031 intermediary for 1031s, reverse 1031s. I mean, you got to have that person on your power team.
So we set it up, got it ready and live in July of that year, and we had 2 9-bedrooms, and it was, man, that was
Tourism went crazy after that. Like, now,
that was a journey.
keep in mind, we got a little lucky because if you had started a job or a business in the restaurant industry, you were SOL. Tourism shut down for a minute there.
Yeah.
But then tourism went crazy because
crazy.
COVID made people realize that they'll never miss the opportunity to travel ever again because
So,
it was removed from them.
Jeramie, for years we've been saying people will always vacation. They're just going to vacation smarter.
Well, the short-term rental industry broke out in the worst real estate market in history. And when the worst crap happened on the planet, the global pandemic, and when it was over, people realized you will not stop me from crawling all over this beautiful planet that God created.
No, you all of the rebels came out and they're like, nope. We're going to do
won't stop me.
the people who were not rebels, who were conservative. We will go and we will do contactless check-in and we're going on a hike. We're getting on the lake.
Life is about movement and travel and going places and adventuring.
So we may not go to our international destination, but we're driving to Branson Moe.
Yeah.
So it was
beautiful.
truly a blessing that we were able to keep that property.
It was. And we operated those properties for a number of years, recently exited to roll the money into what we believe is the next phase of the short-term rental arc, which is branded short-term rentals and some upscale developments that we've got our money in now. And that's really exciting because we're be able to increase the number of doors. And a lot of equity comes from new construction, from building. So instead of just building one property, we're like, why don't we just build 51 at a time? And so we've had to increase our education on how to get even larger sources of capital. At the same time, we're using these resources as opportunities for our network partners. Anybody who I meet or any good relationship that I've got, I use to bless my network partners because they're such awesome people. We're very selective with who we bring onto the team, and because we want to serve investors at the highest level. I mean, it's the same level of concierge service we would want if we went into a new market and wanted to invest. I mean, I know the best agent in Pigeon Forge. I know the best agent in the coastal Carolinas. I know the best agent in upstate New York. I know the best agent in Oklahoma. It's because they're part of our network.
So we were able to cash out from, scraping and private equity, from, virtually, like you said, being property rich and cash poor, and we cashed out.
We did. We liquidated, and but we reinvested, and it's exciting to see where we're going from here. And I'm investing in the network.
So I have a question about that, the network. We've been on this journey for quite some time together. You started real estate in 2006. Our daughter was 1 year old. December of 2008, I begged you to get out of it and go get a different degree. Thank you for not listening to cranky, pregnant Kelly.
I would have been a magician. It would have been fun.
Yes. Yeah. And so we continued this uphill journey for the past long time. I joined your real estate team in 2017, got my broker's license in 19, and became your operating partner in 21. So why, how, what, where? Why have you brought me on this journey, and where are you going?
Why your loaded questions?
I think I know that you always have a vision. You always know the next step. When we were in California and we were both going to be entertainers and comedians and all of that, you created this roadmap. Like, who does that? You created a whole whiteboard full of exactly what your journey looks like and how you're going to get there and where the manager lands and where these classes land. And you did them. I mean, you followed that journey. And so that's your MO, is the whiteboard. And when you feel like you're stalled, you go to the whiteboard. You're like, you crack your knuckles, you grab your different colored dry erase markers, and you pull back the curtains and you just start writing, and you say this, and then this, and then this is going to happen, and then this. It just starts to formulate and become real and tangible in your mind and then in reality.
If you could see Walt Disney's version of the Walt Disney World, which isn't just a theme park, it's a music department that provides music for motion pictures, which provides characters that can show up at a live theme park, and cartoons and animated movies, which add value to the entire thing, and then merchandise and shorts. And if you could see his vision, the chicken scratch for what the Walt Disney Company is, if you could look at that, it looks like a foreign language. It's a blueprint. But I look at it and it looks so clear to me. I look at it and I'm like, this guy was brilliant, and I can see exactly how everything connects. And that's what the Worley Real Estate Network is to me. It is a full service journey from people who want to quit their job as a waiter. They can enter the Worley Real Estate Network as a real estate agent and build 4 pillars of incomes for themselves. We can teach them to grow a real estate team, starting with first being a real estate agent. And they can keep their part-time job in the beginning if they want to. That's what I had to do. And then I went full-time, and then I became a world-class real estate agent because standards mattered. And I learned how to serve investors at the highest level. I became an investor-friendly agent. Then I learned to invest in real estate. Then I became an investor agent, and people began to understand me better because I practiced what I preached. And then I grew a team, and I was able to leverage success through others to be able to grow, to become the CEO of a pillar of real estate income while I had my own real estate portfolio. And that's great. 2 legs are great. It's pretty stable to stand on 2 legs.
Sure.
But I was
I do it
missing
all day.
something. You do a great job at it.
Thank
too.
you.
But then as I began to train real estate agents, I had this unique privilege. And it was to be able to see a real estate agent in the beginning of their journey and what they needed and how to get them from 0 to $1 million, how to get them from 1 to 3 million, how to get them from 3 to 7, and the things they needed in their business that they didn't have the courage to be able to go implement, but I knew that they needed them. And for them to be in an environment around me to continue to give them gentle pressure that said, you need to be able to put this next part in your business, and for them to still say no. And then for me to go find that part of their business and invest in it and turn around and say, I'm going to give you this for 3 months and you're going to see how valuable this is and how much you need it. And for them to say, yep, I needed it. And to allow them, to give them the crutches that they needed to grow into the most successful real estate agents in our market. There's no way they would have done any of that on their own because they wouldn't have the courage to do it. We need coaches and people by our sides to be able to give us the courage to do it. And why am I so passionate about it? It's because I've never had it for myself. And I've always desired it deeply. And I've often wondered, like, God, why have you not given me the mentors that I need to be able to succeed at the level that I want to? And I think sometimes, and he's like, you're a smart dude, bro. You'll figure it out. And when you learn, you teach. And when you teach, you learn. And that has been the most beautiful thing about this business. It's been everything that I have learned about growing a business and helping people along the way. And you know, aligning our business with EXP gave me the ability to help real estate agents as they grow their business to earn stock and revenue share, which I could have never done as an independent broker. So now there's 4 legs. You're the CEO of your own real estate income. And you can enter our company at that point and be a part of that, or you don't have to. You can just be a real estate investor and build a pillar of income. You know, because you've already got a job, you've already got other income sources. If I can help you build 1 pillar of income, I've succeeded. If you enter my organization at the highest level, I help you build 4.
That's so unusual that you want to teach people and you want to empower them and create this everywhere.
It's not just that. I just like to solve problems because, and again, I say this all the time, people wash up on the island of real estate usually. Whether they're a real estate agent or they're an investor. They find the island of real estate because they know that it is the place where the average Joe now can get ahead and can build the resources that they need in order to have the things that they want, do what they were put on earth to do. And I've always had a knack for real estate, and I'm just very passionate about it. And it's now I want to take this. That is one small section. I mean, that is HQ. Branson, Missouri is Disneyland. This is the place where people can come and experience the joy of financial freedom. So scaling that to our network partners all over the country is an act of taking my standards of working with an investor and teaching it to other people, because I can serve more investors by teaching my standards to people all over the country. And I know that if they adopt my standards, that they can achieve the same freedoms that we have. And so now that we are putting those systems in place, I want to build the access to capital sources. So as they, in 5 years, turn a first-time real estate investor into a developer, I now have the capital resources and the contacts in New York with private equity firms to be able to fund their gorgeous developments or their clients' gorgeous developments.
What I love so much about your passion for everybody and um is that you look at somebody and you see the potential and the truth within them, and you're not afraid to look at that person and say, this is what you need to do. Even if it's gutsy, even if it's to them risky, it feels like a leap of faith, and you reach into their chest like when that guy on Indiana Jones is trying to reach.
Om Nam Shivaya, Om Nam Shivaya.
Yeah, when he's trying to.
Kalima Shakti.
That's what you do, and you
Yeah.
reach into their chest and you pull at their heart and you speak truth into it, and then you put it back. And
They didn't do that in Indiana Jones. They didn't put the heart back.
No,
But I do.
But you do. So, but because you have lived it, you have been there. You have put your, you know what, on the chopping block over and over and over again.
What do I know? My what?
Your you know what?
What?
I got
Oh,
it. Yeah, thanks. Over and over, because you know that in order to increase, to go to the next level, to do the next thing, that's what's required. And
There
so
you go.
you're not afraid of telling somebody else that truth. It's like at Tony Robbins, was it UPW or Date with Destiny where you walk on fire?
UPW.
UPW. And the reason for that is what?
You walk on fire?
Yeah. Why do you walk on fire?
To put yourself in a state to be able to conquer that so that you can recall that state in any situation you're in from that point on.
If I can do that, if
Yeah.
I can walk on fire, I can quit my job and
If I
sell
could be
real
married to
estate.
you, I could do anything.
Well, my goodness gracious. That's how you were able to walk across fire, I guess. I think that's the same thing. You are able to confidently look at someone in their eyes and say, you are worth this. Your family is worth it. This will work. I believe in you. I will not let you fail. Quit your job and let's do this together.
Yeah, I knew if I could do it, they could. The blessing and the curse, I'm full of grit, but I've got the same self-doubt that everybody else does, and so if I can do it, you can.
Yeah.
And but what I wanted to do is I wanted to tell people about the first piece of property that we ever bought before we go.
Okay.
And it's the G's and Jason Jeramie. That property cost me a lot of money. You did not know how to negotiate back then.
Me?
Yeah.
What did I do?
You this was the first house that we ever bought. It was the first house we ever bought. We walked, we had been looking. Don't snort. Don't snort. This was the first house we ever bought. And
Jesus, Jason,
it cost
Jeramie.
$90,000. And it was being built by a guy, just a builder guy, one guy.
He just lived down the street.
He did. And we had been looking at houses in our budget of like $70,000 or $80,000, and we found nothing that was worth anything. But there was this new construction for $20,000 more than we could afford to pay.
Yeah.
And we walk into the property.
What did I say?
You immediately burst into tears, and you're like, "I want this house."
I could see my children making cookies in this
I could see the
house.
builder the dollar signs rolling back in his head, and I was like, "Hey, can we get a deck added to this house?" And he's like, "I guess we for the asking price." I wanted something, and we paid full price for the house, but I got an 8x8 deck built on the house.
You're welcome.
Well, it was a beautiful house, and we finished that bonus room together, and that was fun.
We made purple walls and yellow trim, and it was cool as heck. And we turned it into a movie room.
We added some storage, and we bought a $4,000 big screen TV, and we watched Lord of the Rings on that over and over.
Yes.
And a Bose surround sound system.
So the Jesus, Jason, Jeramie, can I tell that real quick?
Mhm.
Okay, so one time this guy, the builder, and Jeramie were standing out in the front yard having a conversation.
We were negotiating on the deal.
Is that what you were doing?
Yeah.
And really bonding. And I was just kind of restless and just kind of walking around. And I think you had maybe talked about church or something. I'm not sure. But
he was trying to say Jeramie. He was trying to say
he
Jeramie.
looks at you and he was trying to say, well, let me tell you something, Jeramie. But instead he says, well, let me tell Hold on, I got this.
Okay.
Okay.
Good luck.
Well, let me tell you something, Jason, Jeramie.
And here's the thing. Let me tell you something about my wife. Hold on, wait.
Jesus and Jason.
Let me stop. Let me tell you something about my wife. I want to tell you something right now. Do not mispronounce a word anywhere near my wife. She will never let you live it down.
Like on the ultimate level of mispronouncing something or forgetting, saying the wrong thing. Like we walked in the movie theater and they're like, "Enjoy your show." And
well, the movie person that takes your ticket.
Yeah, enjoy the show.
One time we were going to see a movie together.
And
I
Jeramie
walked up
goes,
to the movie guy. He tore my ticket.
And Jerry goes, "Fine, thanks."
Well, the movie guy said, "Enjoy your show." And I said, "Fine, thanks."
Fine, thanks. And then you couldn't think of the right thing to say. And
Hey,
had already fallen on the floor.
I was
laughing,
combing the
so.
horizon for bad guys, protecting
Yeah,
you
I know.
the whole time.
Oh, my
Well,
goodness. That was a fun story.
You're a fun gal.
You're a fun gal, too.
Thanks for being on my podcast.
Thanks for being my buddy.
I hope you listen to this episode. Hey, if this podcast spoke to you at all and you want to go from good intentions to implementation, then Kelly and I want to see you at our Investor Jumpstart 3-day challenge that is starting in a very short time. It's going to take you from full-time employee into the mindset of becoming a full-time real estate investor. And we know you need courage, action steps, and a peer group to get you there. And we want to give you a chance to interact with us and a small group to get you from where you are now to the places you never thought possible. So let us speak life into your business and sign up for our 3-day challenge at challenge.strinvestoracademy.com.